Good evening, everyone. Before we begin, Team 1 would like to acknowledge the traditional territories in which we live, work, study, and play, traveling from east to west. Darcy lives in Winnipeg within Treaty Number 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, Oji-Cree, Dene, and Dakota, the birthplace of the Métis Nation and the heart of the Métis Nation homeland. Debbie, Brett, and Anna Marika live in the Edmonton region on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of many Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Saulteaux, Niitsitapi, Métis, and Nakota Sioux peoples. Chelsea lives in Vancouver on the traditional and unceded territories of the Kakite and Stolo First Nations. Tasha lives on the Taymuk Treaty Territory of the Saanich Peninsula near Victoria, BC, the traditional lands of the Sartlip and Sayout First Nations.
Thanks, Chelsea. With that, let's dive in. Our case study is one that may be familiar. Our team works at the University of Blossom, a small university of 1,500 full-time students. We are located in Daisyville, a town with a population of 8,500 in Northern Ontario. Our president recently made a big announcement. International student enrollment at the University of Blossom needs to increase from the current 50 international students to 150 international students in the next 2 years. The Registrar's Office summoned a committee of campus partners and experts to develop a student recruitment plan to effectively triple our international student enrollment by 2021. Let's meet the team. Darcy is our Chief Operations Officer. Debbie is our Associate Registrar and Chair of the committee. Brett with his expertise in student engagement as Manager Student Life. And Tasha, our resident expert on career learning and development as the Manager. Anna works very closely with the University of Blossom's faculty as a curriculum and instruction specialist. And of course, with the boots on the ground, Chelsea, our senior student recruiter advisor, who will be traveling to recruit students and implementing recruitment strategies.
We knew that first, we needed to understand the current international student recruitment plan. What we learned, however, was a little surprising. There isn't one. The University of Blossom goes to China and India and works with various agents, but no larger plan is currently in place. Debbie, our Associate Registrar, thankfully came equipped with the retention rates for international students at the University of Blossom. The data showed that attrition rates for international students is incredibly high, with 50% of them transferring to the University of Toronto after their second year. It quickly became apparent that we had our work cut out for us. We knew we had to start by understanding the symptoms, root causes, quick fixes, and long-term solutions.
A low registration and retention rate indicates that the university is not meeting the needs of their international students. However, given our 2-year time frame, we must react quickly and implement some quick fix solutions. We do this knowing that we also have to look at the issue more systematically and uncover the root cause of the problem. Our case study mirrors the Shifting the Burden Archetype. There is a problem symptom, quick fix solutions, and minimal effort from our leadership to uncover the primary problem. When the committee first came together, we had a knee-jerk reaction. We first focused on solving the problem symptom, the low international registration and retention rate. This is because our committee didn't have the authority or resources to seek the fundamental solution. Although our quick fixes do not obviously backfire and often even appear to be the solution to the problem, they are unlikely to truly address the root cause, the institutional culture. This makes it the perfect example of a shifting the burden archetype. Let's take a closer look.
The President has identified that we need to triple our international student enrollment. Thus, the problem symptom is the low international student registration and retention rates. To react quickly, each institutional area began working on their own siloed solutions. As Goodman and Company suggests, these solutions are apparent, appear productive, and have an immediate impact on the problem. You can think of them like a Band-Aid. These quick fixes are helpful in the moment, but they do not have long-term impacts, nor do they address the root cause of the problem. Here are some examples of the quick fixes we came up with. As the Senior Student Recruiter Advisor, I prepared to hire additional student recruitment staff to help recruit more international students. Brett, the Manager of Student Life, began planning an international student showcase event to foster a sense of belonging on campus for international students. And Marika, our curriculum and instruction specialist, began designing a new informative workshop for faculty on teaching in a culturally diverse classroom. And Darcy is at the ready to launch an initiative for community members to host international student welcome dinners.
While these initiatives appear helpful, at the end of the day, they divert attention away from the primary problem, the university's variable registration and retention rates. This creates a loop called the symptom correcting process. In it, the quick fixes seem like the solution, but they do not address the root cause, which is far from reach in the problem correcting process loop. The problems continue and often escalate. Enter crisis heroism! Goodman and company define this as any measures needed to continue with their previous support patterns. Magically, money appears for an initiative or new staff salaries to ensure those efforts continue. These efforts are often celebrated, but there is no true commitment to the more fundamental solution. In the end, the actions of crisis heroism fail to meet the deeper needs of our international students. Next, the addiction loop begins to form. It points down from the quick fixes to the root cause, which starts the cycle over again. The addictions loop is dangerous. It makes it appear that the problem is solved because more international students will come to the university. With the primary problem now masked, there is less interest in identifying the root cause. The crisis heroism and quick fixes are depleting valuable resources, and so no energy remains to consider how to bring about true and meaningful change.
The root cause of the low international student registration and retention rate is the institutional culture. The University of Blossom, despite having the best of intentions, does not support internationalization as an educational outcome. True internationalization offers educational value not only to international students, but domestic students as well. It allows students to develop intercultural competence, see problems from different perspectives, and become global citizens. To understand the effects of this problem, we'll need to assess. We will conduct this research in 3 phases. First, we will create and distribute a student survey. It will measure their feelings of inclusion and/or exclusion and their understandings of globalization. Second, we will conduct focus groups with faculty and staff around their beliefs of internationalization, both inside and outside of the classroom. And finally, we'll host timely conversations with senior leaders on the strategic importance of internationalization.
So, how can the University of Blossom tackle something as pervasive as international culture? While the President's direction is a good kickstart, a more fundamental fix is required in order to better recruit and retain international students in the long term. We need to consider how to consult the stakeholders within the university's ecosystem in order to align under a shared vision. The University of Blossom needs to develop and roll out an internationalization strategy and communication plan. We propose senior leadership host town halls with various stakeholder groups, such as faculty, learning and teaching services, student engagement, student affairs, admissions, and recruitment. In the town halls, they will have an opportunity to share why internationalization is important to their units at the University of Blossom. As part of this work, we will also conduct focus groups with the individual stakeholder groups to better understand the current state challenges and identify opportunities to enhance international student support. For example, Anna can help us understand the support faculty requires to adapt their teaching practices and how faculty may engage more meaningfully with international students. Debbie and Chelsea, in their respective roles within the registrar's office and student recruitment, can leverage data to understand why international students leave in order to better support recruitment and retention efforts. Our student services team, Tash and I, can work together with municipal services, employers, alumni, and citizens of Daisy-Ville to create a supportive learning environment for international students. We understand emphasizing placemaking, where international students can interact and create meaning, is key to making Blossom feel more like home. Finally, as these questions are raised, we would seek opportunities to establish partnerships between stakeholder groups to explore and develop initiatives that support the international cultural shift. Those being asked to participate in these partnerships will receive the supports they need to become advocates for internationalization, creating a virtuous cycle. The student experience is enhanced. Each new term comes with improved satisfaction, retention, and recruitment as happy alumni become Blossom Boosters.
Naturally, there are both benefits and limitations to the Shifting the Burden archetype. One benefit is that it demonstrates how quick fixes, like recruiting more international students, masks the root cause of the institution's culture. Rather than recognizing the value of internationalizing the University of Blossom, it appears that international students were primarily viewed as a revenue source. The archetype also shows how paralyzing quick fixes can be. They tie up essential resources that should be leveraged to uncover the root cause and design an actual solution. The archetype perfectly captures how addressing the symptoms rather than the root cause can sometimes feel like the only tangible solution. This is especially true when we consider the complexity of changing an institution's culture and the time, resources, and authority needed to make that a reality. That being said, the archetype came with some limitations as well. It was particularly difficult to portray timing impacts and delays within each cycle. More significantly, however, we found the Shifting the Burden archetype doesn't completely capture the relationships between stakeholders. This left us a significant gap because we needed to understand the power dynamics and how each unit's quick fixes would impact each other. Rather than shifting the burden onto international student recruitment, the University of Blossom must collaborate internally and externally to internationalize the institutional culture. This will create a university environment that is attractive to international students and will address the root cause of the problem. So folks, there you have it. Here are our references. We hope you enjoyed our presentation, and thanks very much for listening.